warm welcome to Michael Basinski.
Okay, okay.
Move it up. You can move it up.
All right. I want to thank Dina. I want to thank Greenfield and the poets of Greenfield, and those who read before, and those who read after, and those in the audience today. And I want to thank Paul Richmond for organizing this. And I know most of you know Paul for many years, but I have known Paul for over 50 years, or more probably. We got here with many illusions to help us along the way. So I wouldn't come here for any other person in the world, for sure. I'm going to read one poem. It's half a poem. It's the second half of a poem. It's called Cows. First half is called Pigs. This is the cows part. It's a lot of pages, but there's only 11 lines in the poem, so it will go quickly. It's part. Actually, the poem, so to speak, was called "Poem About How I Learned to Be a Poet." That was the pigs part, and this is the cows part, as I said of that. So let's see. Kindergarten began the great horror of daily life. Daily activities, things to do, pants to try on, put on your blue pants, abandonment of pleasurable and self-fulfilling projects, the end of self-actualizing in exchange for routine, being indoors, routine breathing, the wet and mucus of your fellow beings, spoiled salami, the rain and the snow, and the sleet and the sunshine and the alphabet and the nouns, the Pledge of Allegiance, people and their allegiances, a large, horribly large clock upon the cream-colored wall, mold on oranges and manure in flower beds, the unnatural activity of reading somebody else's words, listening to a large alien monkey round with bulges of body whose breath smelled of mushrooms, dark caves sprouting and whose plots act feet forth into old shoes and her swishing arch-bled dress of mothballs mother's closet. Let's learn something. How could anyone be so happy about learning anything? And then something about the sunny side of the street, public restrooms, public eating, public playtime, order, templates and forms, daily activity, standing in line to use the water fountain, standing in line with a lot of other words, lines and words, lines of words, the public artlessness and lifelessness, periodic barfing in class, in the hall, in line, anger, insanity, and prayer. I told my mother to go home or leave because, well, I could handle kindergarten, first day kindergarten, where I once opened the bathroom door, chanced that there was a girl plaid skirt with her scuffed sandals, shoes dangling, butt upon the pot and peeing yellow, the tooth mother. What a startle, how embarrassing the fear of arrows creates a deranged charm forever drunk. Home on the deranged. I knew soon enough I would fall victim. I'd be caught with my wiener out and flapping about like a hooked salmon, terrified, attempting to get wiener back in my hand, back in the horse, back in the barn, and peeing, whizzing on my tan pants and my blue pants, a pea stain, the yellow letter of the alphabet, the yellow badge of discouraged like Actaeon, flee, fly, foe, fleeing from the hounds, attempting to zip the zipper, my fingers moved off my fingers, mowed off my hand, torn, ripped from my gentle flesh, my arm, farewell to them by savage metal dog teeth, zipper snarling at me, dancing like being possessed by the Holy Ghost with my wiener caught in the zipper of my life. The first time I was bitten by a flesh dog, spotted dog, was Disney named Bambi. Bambi, who would name a vicious dog Bambi? I noticed them. People all the time talk to dogs all the time. They never talk to me. They hardly ever simply and gently talk to each other, but they talk to Twinkie, gentle, sweetly, sponge candy, to baby talk to dogs. Bambi, would you like like a biscuit Bambi? Would you like a piece of blood tongue? And then with the swift and vile metamorphosis, they would turn upon their dogs and foul-mouthed scream at the little pooches, you son of a bitch, shut up! So it was in the world of kindergarten. And on the first day after my mother left, the massive teacher, round in her ox-blood dress, said, fumbled, here's some clay, gray modeling clay, non-toxic and moist, and I set about bringing into being, muse guided by a burning sage-butt creation, a ranch, a cowboy ranch, western music of unique and lasso, tweako and molding, Frederick Remington, revising the Jingle Jones poet, laureate of jingles, creating a beautiful hop-along ranch, Cassidy, a western ranch, and his horse Topper Ranch, forming out of a desert mirage in mind, oasis, a waterhole, thirst drinking a ranch out of stagecoach, sprout imagination of wow, Clay Dale Evans would date me riding hog on her horse Buttermilk, with Appaloosa and painted Arapaho horses, with longhorn cows with speckles and cactus, cacti, Sargasso and snakebite rattlesnakes with diamondbacks, Dale pulled Roy's trigger, Gila Monster, the flying saucers in the Arizona deserts. Building away with my Apache clay, content in eternal solitude, eternal, the other kids crying for their mothers and their fathers and their grandmothers in faded flowered house dresses, hungry for bologna, or puking and being lost and lonely and desolate alone, well along on their life journey to the Buffalo suburbs, Clarence or West Seneca, or leaping to North Carolina for a non-union job with their empty mouths open like fish, the lips involuntary, moving or closed without anything to say for even 77 years, and their tiny little stubby fingers playing at their sex and awaiting the coming of the death angel. Like my molded clay cows, they sit frozen in their bodies, afraid to die, afraid to live, afraid to buy a lemon pie, wrote Charles Bukowski. And sitting next to me, a seemingly kindly mannequin kid boy, beginning to cry, and crystal ball, 50 years still crying in the drugstore about the price of shampoo and the broken alternator on his car, the check engine light on again, and broke TV, and I can't watch the Sabres, and gas is now $4, $5, $6 a gallon, and oranges are $3.99 for 4 pounds of navel oranges, and a grapefruit is $1. And how about those bananas? One sits steadily at 49 cents a pound. Maybe they ain't bananas, but all that recycling they got going now, huh? And then back to the bank, back to the department store, mall, back to the post-it notes, living in their degenerating bodies' living room, back to Facebook and email, lots back to Starbucks, and to the emptiness of the unwashed coffee cups of coffee and pretzel crumbs on the new obese, rug, cupcake, KFC, contamination, and more obese emptiness, Fukushima zombies. And I kept molding my pronghorns. And so it was in the world of On the Range, where I played and I made the deer and antelopes a kindergarten, where I poured out my heart of magical menagerie of my west mind, and wobbling, waiting, and round goose teacher softened her warm, round, wobbling, for with the fat under her arms, under her pelican arm pouches and pelican pouch chin, Florida filled with living and squirming ocean fish. Sorry, Charlie. One of those wingers who was next to me, seemingly content in his vast, squirmy, absent vacancy. I never bothered to ask, good morning, Alfred, or Stanislaus, or Bronislaus. That Thanksgiving Day Macy's giant balloon teacher mumbled, look what Michael is doing, Alfred, or Stanley, or Bronislaus. He's making a ranch with clay cows and cactus and wooden clay fences and horses, and they're running wild all over Wyoming and North Dakota, and the cows have utter fat, with utter milk dripping from their utter fat, udders leaking milk, body warm, utter milk for yogurt and butter and homogenized vanilla ice cream and milkshakes, and udders filling pails of silver pails of utter fat cow milk milk. Once upon a time, I grabbed the wrong milk from the metal milk crates in stacks in the corner. Milk white, half pint cost 2 cents, and chocolate milk, half a pint cost 3 cents, and I was a 2-cent kid haunted by ghosts and John Cage chance operations accident. Whoops! I grabbed the wrong milk, half pint, and stuck in my straw, and it was an accident. Then I took a toke on the strawberry and bing bang chocolate. I was fucked. Then in panic I chugged it down, inhaled a half pint in a panic fury, and tossed the empty in the empty bin for empty milks. You see, since my last name started with B, I got to the milk crates first, and no one knew that there was this accident chance generated improvisational milk event, and it wasn't until the Z kids with the last names that began with Z, like Zastampowski, Zakshevsky, or Zielinski, that anyone knew the event art was chance over. And the very last Z kid started crying for his cable stations and Apple phone 4, 5, 7, or 17. And the teacher asked, anyone who has a chocolate milk who was supposed to have white milk, is it any of you? And no, not I. I don't know nothing. Nothing about no wrong milk. Nope, nada. It was school. I didn't know nothing about no wrong milk, and the kid was crying and bawling out his dead eyes because he had to have white milk and not chocolate milk. So he was in America of kindergarten in Buffalo. Spilled milk where the moon is wrong even if it is sweetest of all milk is the wrong milk. And play is writing with clay. I was on my 17th cow, a whole herd of clay cows, about a stampede down a gully with bison and a pelican. Teacher stammered over, why didn't you make something nearly dead? Why didn't you make something nearly dead? Kid sitting next to Michael Basinski, a cowboy, she said, to the fence post, to the whimper clay cow, and the winger with cow snot Niagara from his nostrils started to make the hideous cowboy, made a monstrous cowboy that did not fit the Western Ranch Cattle Drive Stagecoach Wyatt Earp and Billy the Kid scenario that I had made up. That was myself come into being from me by form. It was his fat, ugly, flat. His cowboy was simply flat on the table, not snug up in his unrolled sleeping bag with his head on a saddle pillow after a plate of beans, pork and beans, not standing, just flat, mortified, molded in the image of himself, flat, now and forever, a gay flatness that stretches across decades. Gobi and votes Republican with his ugly cowboy hat and his ugly cowboy boots on ugly bold legs with no horse between them. Oh, monstrous cowboy, awkward and inhuman, dull and stupid, invading my ranch of my wings, absolute innocent and pure moist soul. I was left for dead in the Nevada sun. And then the teacher announced to everyone, to the world, to the remaining parents on TV, to the gods Zeus and Odin, to Allah and Buddha, to the Virgin Mary and to Christ, look what they created. It was a ghastly error. It was a ghastly moment. They. My ranch was Kool-Aid in a watery death of robin pissing in the sea. My work of 9 uses, pyramid dust, Asmodeus, helicon forgotten like yesterday's weather, ignored news, yesterday's lies, headlines, yesterday's sins, no one hit wonder, even no one is allowed to be one. It was the first time I was placed upon a team. They.